Alright, hello. We're back at it again. Got another round of the Exceeds Drive celebration here. Looking like this time we're going to see a match between, let me see if I can get the names here, DT first, and, let's see. Occasionally Discord is abbreviating names for me. Let me look at this on our bracket. Perfect. Looks like this is our round 3 match here. This is going to be DT versus MechaKT. So it's going to be an exciting one here. DT here on Akuma, Rachel, and Ramlethal, where Mecha's on Ryu as well, or not as well. Ryu, Arakune, and Nagoriyuki. So this will be an interesting one. I have not actually seen a lot of Nagoriyuki, so that's my personal preference to see here, but we'll see what we got. I think no matter who these players bring to the table, I think we'll have some interesting matches here. We've got a couple characters like Ryu that we've seen a lot throughout this tournament, or at least I personally have seen, played against, and commentated with, and I'm even running myself. But at the same time, a lot of these characters are characters I have not seen yet here, which is good. So this is what I'm rather excited for. And yeah, right now, so this is round 3 of Strive in the winners bracket. So both these players have already taken them 2 rounds to get here. So both pretty good players. Looking forward to it. So analyzing this a bit more here while we wait for the players to get started. Both interesting from DT's side. We got Ramlethal and Rachel, who both kind of excel at hitting faraway strikes. Ramlethal's more, fully on the zonering side. It might be a little unfair to call her that since she's not trying to play at range 5, but she's definitely going to try to outrange opponents where Rachel's going to weave in and out. Let's see. It's like Mecha's adjusting their graphics real quick. Hopefully we've got a good connection with them today. But yeah, so Rachel and Ramlethal are both going to be characters that are trying to zone out the opponents one way or another. Get around other people's ranges, attack at unfair ranges, and get some small wins that way. Whereas Akuma is kind of the opposite. Akuma is very good at striking at a bunch of risky attacks. Can't really guarantee hits, but can guarantee a ton of damage on hit. Both for Akuma and for the opponent there with that UA. So we'll see some interesting play from anybody on DT's side. And not to say that we won't from Mecha's side either. I mean, both. I personally have not seen any Nagoriyuki, really. So I'm super stoked if we see some Nagoriyuki. Arakune, of course, also kind of like notoriously complex. But even within that, like, has some kind of niche strengths that you don't see in a lot of characters. Both like F inverse G and I can't remember the name of the other one. But the 2 attacks that hit at even and odd ranges respectively, which can lead to some interesting strikes. Also quite good at fighting against zoners. I think one of those starts at about range 8 and moves in as you pay more force. So that could be, quite good going into something like Ramlethal. But we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, if you're new to this tournament, this is kind of a first to 2 wins knockout style. So we're going to see Arakune here from Mecha and Akuma here from DT. And whoever wins this match, their character is kind of out of the goings, but they've got 1 win under their belt. And the loser of this match can actually reuse their characters if we want. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. Not sure if we've decided who's going first or not. While people are still mulliganing, let's talk about some of the general good cards that these characters have. Something I haven't seen a ton of Akuma play. When I do, I shockingly see this card come out quite a bit. Demon Armageddon doubles power bonuses, and so it's pretty costly. But even with like Akuma UA up, that can be 10 power. Combine that with something like a light to make this actually kind of viable speed wise, and it can be quite good. Other than that, though, a lot of Akuma's strengths lie in his really good boosts and just his general UA. The cards themselves, to my understanding, are fine. Not amazing though. Like Go Hadoken is not bad, but a lot of these are below speed and combine and no guard. So combined with Akuma, like they're all risky plays. But those boots are quite good. On the other hand, Arifune here, um, at base, a lot of these cards are okay. They require F piecewise and permutation and R are the moves that kind of scale their ranges depending on the force you pay. But when Arifune ends up exceeding, that's when we're really going to see something strong here. But first, we're going to start out with a Forbidden Knowledge here. It's going to go ahead and add one to Overdrive. Notably, Arifune is going to exceed for less cost, depending on how many cards they have in Overdrive. So we really want to see 8 total between Gauge and Overdrive. So this is already adding 1 to Gauge and 1 to Overdrive. Already a fourth of the way there. Not to mention the fact that the 2 that Mecha gets to put back here are whatever they want. One of those is going to be drawn for end of turn too. So right now, Mecha's going to know top of deck and add any of those cards to hand. It's a lot of card selection. It is a little expensive, paying effectively 3 force here. But it may be worth it. I think this is a good time to go for something like this as well, while Akuma isn't in a threatening range here. So we're gonna put Disjoint in Overdrive over here, and we've got Y2- in Gauge. I think this is a good spot to kind of throw some of these specials that are good, but might be a little underwhelming at the beginning of the game. Just go ahead and get those into Gauge and Overdrive while we're still in our regular non-exceeded form. See, from here we've got effectively just a key charge from Akuma, getting that Gauge online. Adds a lot of extra spice to some of these specials that are going to need Gauge to do their critical forms. And now, personally, I'm not sure who wants to move in here and who doesn't. Both players don't really have a whole lot that hits at range 4 up. We're going to see, this is our other super here. I think just change cards here, if I'm looking at that right, is what happened. Get some extra card draw. Especially since it sounds like they don't really want to use a super. They'd like to save the Gauge for Overdrive, which makes sense. And if you're not going to use it, you might as well change cards with it. We got to defend from Akuma's side. It looks like no one really wants to approach here. And to be honest, I kind of can't blame either of them. Akuma doesn't really want to move in on some of these, like... Actually, I don't know. Arifune is probably fine staying outside because... Well, he does really want to hit specials and ultras to get that extra overdrive. At the same time, just kind of stalling while you get cards, get overdrive, get Gauge, get boosts. Not a bad plan. Meanwhile, Akuma does have his fireball here, which I think is somewhat threatening, especially with the defense up. We're gonna see =0 here from our Arifune side. Attacks at range equal to the number of cards in your overdrive don't hit you. So here, notably, one card in overdrive, this is a big call out for like a dive, for example. Dive's going to move in, one card in overdrive, not going to hit as long as equals 0 is here. But we're going to see a strike nonetheless, probably a fireball. Sure enough, we got fireball here. We're looking at F piecewise from Arcune. Up to 3 force for +2 range each is going to hit here. Does it have the guard? It does have the guard. So I'm going to pay 2 force, get that 4 range, swing by 5 for 6. Honestly, sorry, 5 for 5 thanks to the defense boost. We do have a hit trigger from Arcune here, which is pretty important. Top card of discard is actually going to be... Okay, it looks like they caught it. So this hit trigger is during hit. So we're going to drag top card of discard, which should be grasp at the time. I believe... Okay, looks like they got it. Yeah, so notably, that's a hit trigger there. So equals 0 still in the boost area when that hit trigger resolves. At least in my understanding of it. So, and that's going to be important because on flip side, Arcune really cares about what speeds are in his overdrive. 7 speed isn't bad because effectively, if he matches the speed of a card in his overdrive, he'll get bonuses. So 7 speed still very useful, but something like a 5 speed, which kind of corresponds with a few more of his attacks here, might have been a little bit more helpful. But there wasn't really a way to get that now. He also got the move back, which is pretty nice here with the retreat too. Not much Akuma can do at range 6. I think that fireball. Well, the fireball does reach range 6 actually. I thought it was a 2 to 5, but not the case actually. So still fight back a little bit. He is looking at a range 7 permutation NR here though. And with fireball 4 speed would speed it out, but you know, permutation's not exactly going to get stunned. So we'll see. But we're actually going to see the boost here, it looks like. A plus or minus B here. See. A lot of Arcane has a lot of these weird boosts here. It's Akuma's choice, DT's choice here. Either DT has to lose a card and put something in Arcune's overdrive, both of which are, you know, losing a card here is not so bad, but a card in overdrive for Arcune is not great. Or otherwise, they have to reveal their hand and the top of their deck. Personally, you know, you got 7 cards in hand. I feel like this is where you just give him one, cut your losses. Revealing 7 cards is going to be rough, but you know, he could go for it. Range 6, there's not a lot of punishment you can get with a reading, so I don't think it's totally off the table, but I kind of expect him to just get rid of a card here. And sure enough, it looks like that's what we're doing. We are giving up a speed 5 here, which, again, speed 5, we got a few options from Arcune for speed 5, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's also not too bad to just kind of stack the same speed in here. We already have Disjoint Union. We've got Assault. You know, same speed means we've got less options as the Arcune player when we overdrive. Turn around for a second. Looks like we just saw a prepare here from Arcune, getting more cards back. Makes sense because some of those force boosts are kind of expensive. We saw the permutation M boost cost an extra force. We're gonna parry the focus here. Interesting. Not sure why focus specifically. I'm sure there's a method to the madness I'm not seeing. I know both these players are quite good, so I'm assuming anytime they make a play like that, they're calling out a line of thinking that hasn't even crossed my mind yet. So just curious to find out what it is. He didn't reveal his hand. I would have expected that a lot more if he did. But we'll see. We've got Irrationality here. Both players +1 range and -1 power. -1 power is interesting combined with Akuma's possible UA. Because he can bring that power back up for both players. Although I don't think it will make too much of a difference at this range. It might stop the critical fireball. But the critical fireball already loses 2 power. I don't know. Extra range though, definitely makes some scary stuff for Aracune at range 7. We're gonna run in as a result from Akuma. With that play here, I kind of imagine he's got some good range 2 stuff. Something like Dugai Hot. Sorry, I do not know how to pronounce this card. But the Zuga here is quite good, but I often see it done as a boost a lot more. We could also see something like the Go Shoryuken. I feel like those are kind of our main range 2 players here. We'll see. Notably, too, with the +1 range, that is minimum as well. Something like a like this Hakichu or even just like a simple assault, it's gonna whiff here. They'll move into, and then it'll be like a range 2-2 attack. So some stuff is off the table. We're gonna see another Forbidden Knowledge here. Really, it seems like Mecha's saying, I'm fine, just taking as much time as we need. Gonna gain resources, gonna put the pressure on. And thanks to Arakune's, UA, he can kind of just afford to sit back and gather. Eventually, we're gonna need to see Akuma do something about all this resource gathering. Theoretically, Akuma could just wait for the overdrive and then try to tank through it, but in my personal experience, it's not as advisable. But we'll see. DT's got a lot of cards in hand here. He might be able to make it happen. We're going to see another speed 5 into overdrive here. Not really what you would expect. Reason why this is kind of odd to see is because on overdrive, Arakune wants to match the speeds, if I recall. Yeah, he wants to match speed, and with 3 cards at 5 speed, granted this assault isn't his, but he can't play Disjoint Union, for example, which would match the speed. So 3 cards, 5 speed, not a lot of options. We're seeing a Strike come out here. Still have Irrationality out. Strike's on Akuma's side. So, DT feels pretty confident here. Mecha's responding. We've got ourselves Permutation versus Spike. Spike's going to be pretty strong here. So range 3-4, it'll still hit. 4 power. Going to go straight through that armor and guard. It's a pretty solid strike. We're still 1 gauge away from exceeding his Arakune as well. With only a 4 loss of life here, though. Honestly, things aren't looking too bad as a pre-exceeded Arakune. We're gonna wall swap with wall teleport. We're gonna see an exceed from Akuma. I feel like I don't see this very often. Just changes out that critical +2 power for +3. Does make a difference on some attacks though. Things like assault, for example, now beat sweep. And just having that extra power can be really good for crossing some thresholds on the specials as well. We've got like a lot of like Go Shoryuken, 6 damage can be like a pretty hefty call out now. Obviously it's risky still, but you're trading just as much as before if you hit first. Whereas things like Hyakishu is frankly a lot more risky now. But again, with that critical beats both focus and sweep. And it's still effectively like a assault with just 1 extra range. Or, sorry, 1 extra speed. So it's quite strong. That extra power may make a difference here. But we'll have to wait and see. Looks like Mecha's still thinking what he wants to do next. Gotta find another way to get that gauge, and one of those ways with a hit. But I think we've already seen a permutation come down. Oh, excuse me, it is DT's turn apparently. He's throwing down the light, and we're getting a strike straight from Arcune. Gonna see if we can secure ourselves that last gauge or overdrive. Right now we're at range 5, so with odd this could be a permutation, although I think we've seen both. This could also be something simply a block, you know? Take care of the light, get ourselves a gauge, you know, fulfill our win condition. Yeah, range 5. I don't know if anything will hit other than permutation. That's not true. Y2 dash could also hit here as well. Not as strong, but we've got if P then Q, effectively a speed dodge. I gotta remind myself how this works. Let's see. Attacks with higher speed don't hit you, and sure enough, our fireball with that light boost has higher speed. After add it to overdrive, not gonna go to gauge like a block is, but basically just as good here. It's a pretty good tension diffuse here. No damage, but and chose not to advance, notably. But it's gonna get that gauge. DT here is just gonna prep and return. He's shoring up, ready for this overdrive that we might see right now. And there we go. Arcune overdrive. This is the part of the game that's gonna make big waves here. You know, Arcune effectively in his super powered mode, he's gonna have +2 power, +1 speed, and -8 range is really only useful for permutation, and occasionally something like disjoint. But overall, you know, that +2 power, +1 speed on effectively any attack is going to be really strong here. But notably, you know, we've got, this could be anything range 5, or sorry, speed 5. We've got a speed 7, speed 3, 2, 4. So there's a lot of options for what this could be. Whatever it is, it still has to hit, because again, we only get negative range distance. So focus is not going to hit here. Probably a fake out here from Mecha, trying to call out something like a block. Yeah, it looked like he's sealing his top card here. I don't believe that's how this works. Let's see. He's got to discard a card from Overdrive first. I'm gonna trying to keep up with what quite happened here. We did discard a card from our overdrive here. Got shuffled back in on the reshuffle with the draw from focus. Still have 7 in overdrive. I think it is currently DT's turn, if I recall. Now, no, we're at Mecha now. He's paying that grass for overdrive, looking at that top card, deciding if he wants to seal it. Notably, there's not much benefit to sealing it, except if it's like a card you don't want. It's a good way to get it out of your deck. Notably, he's already got 3 cards sealed here, which luckily face down doesn't really reduce the complexity that DT is looking at, but it does affect, you know, is that a card that Mecha wants to wild swing with? Is that a card that Mecha just wants to get out of the way so he can get to his better cards? Like, we don't know. We're going to see change cards here, looking forward. Notably, that one card Mecha looked at in their hand now. So something worth keeping in there. Or perhaps they're just a little scared about decking out because We're already at 12 cards in deck, and this is, I don't believe after a reshuffle yet. Although, actually, I could, no, this is after a reshuffle. 12 cards in deck after a reshuffle. Opponent's still at 25 life. You know, Mecha might just be trying to keep some extra time for some extra cards. We're gonna see Power of Hatred come out here from DT. Really strong card here. Plus your power and hit is not going to do anything from this range, of course, but it might deter Mecha from moving in. And I think at this point, DT is seeing that deck, deciding, hey, I think I can get a win here on deck out. I'm going to go for it. So we'll see. We've got a strike here. Once again, I think the only thing that will hit here is permutation. But permutation will hit here. And pretty much unstoppable from DT's side. Yeah, Mecha goes for the permutation. We're going to pay to give that a little bit extra power. Still going to be blocked, but still 7 damage to block is nothing to sneeze at. Do we have an advantage on this? I don't know why he keeps looking at the top card of his deck, to be honest. Ooh, card at random looks to be oh, no. We are discarding for force here for block. Looks like we're discarding for 3 force there. We've got the 2 from block, 8 damage. We're good to go. We are going to get the hit trigger from permutation here as well. So that's going to be another card out of DT's grip. But at the same time, DT has mostly survived so far through the overdrive. Oh, maybe not paying that actually. Oh, it's after hit effects, of course. So we're gonna hit the Yakishu here. Permutation, yeah. For those who didn't catch that, permutation's hit effect should go before discarding for blocks, since block is after hit effects. So we're gonna grab the Hikishu. That's pretty important here for Mecha because that's gonna let them stay in overdrive just a little bit longer. Which, you know, again, it's going to be so crucial for Aracune here, especially when we're looking at low deck counts, high life totals, and we kind of need to make a push here to do some damage. I'm going to see the run in from Cross. Going to try to... See. Oh, 1 second. Let's see. I'm gonna stream this for a little bit just in case someone ends up popping in here and looking at this game as well. Looks like we're still debating on that top card. This time we're going to go for sealing it. Does get us 1 card closer to the end of the game, but you know, it doesn't matter if the card you draw is really good. We've got Y2 dash here into focus. It's going to do some damage. Has to discard here, discarding the Hakishu, which is going to give it 2 extra power. It's going to be a 6 power attack. Doesn't get the before trigger, so we're not up to 8, which is good. Oh, and I believe Overdrive might trigger off of sending something to discard for the UA as well. It must be what's happening. I actually didn't know that was the case, so that is good to know. Aracune is one of those characters that just does a lot of silly little things that kind of add up to be a bit difficult to track sometimes, if you're not super familiar with the character. But yeah, we did take damage. So from 25, 21, got to hit back for 4. We're going to see another Power of Hatred here. We might start seeing some power plays from DT. I don't know if they're still looking to deck out here. With something like Exceed plus Power of Hatred, I mean, they could potentially be looking at a +5. But, you know, +5 that comes with some risk. Trying to think. I don't think we could see a Go Shoryuken at a grand total of, what would that be? 8 power here? An 8 power Go Shoryuken at speed 7. That pushes 2 to boot. We could see something like that coming out. I think that would, oof, yeah, I think that would beat a focus here as well. It would also be a great way to just kind of stall for some of these overdrive turns, especially because we really only have one more here from Mecha. Now, and Mecha might want to throw out a speed 5, you know, boost it to speed 6, give it 2 extra power. But if DT responds critical Go Shoryuken, you know, that's going to beat anything at that speed. We'll see what's going to happen here. We've got ourselves an EX strike, though. If we EX speed 5, and that's boosted to speed 7 as a result, we could beat the Go Shoryuken. Could be something like an assault, perhaps. I don't think we've seen any assaults yet from Arcune. If this is the EX assault too, I think that's 7 power to boot, which is pretty formidable here. We're gonna see the wild swing from DT. Sure enough, you know, it's that EX assault. I have a feeling DT kind of went through that process too and realized there's not much he can do to beat that. Might as well conserve a card. Could be wrong. That was just kind of my take on the mentality behind that. Either way, you know, he took some pretty sizable damage there. I definitely think that was the play from Mecha. I think that's a really strong use of that last overdrive turn. But notably, we are now, you know, overdrive's over. The engines have stopped running. And I don't think we're going to get to see a second one here. We might, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I think at this point we're just looking at, we've got instant hell murder here from DT, basically saying, you know, I can crit next turn, and if I do, I'm going to go before you with +3 power. Because that 3 or more power bonus is going to apply from critical as well. I think he's just pointing that out to Mecha here. So DT's next attack could be a +3/+3. We're going to see a tech here, which I think is really smart, but DT's just got another one. He says, hey, this is what I'm throwing out here. You're going to have to deal with it one way or another. We could see another tech from Mecha, but I don't think we have the other dive available. Likely it is in sealed. Because we haven't seen it a lot this game yet. Could be wrong. Either way, there's not a whole lot of other ways to defuse something like that. You know, DC's got a lot of options here. Could throw out something like a he could play it safe, throw out something like a sweep. And even playing it safe that way, it's still like a 9 power 5 speed attack that beats everything but cross, I think. So something like a sweep here would be crazy, and that's like the safe play. So we're gonna see it, that critical strike. +3/+3. We've got a permutation. But Hakushu is gonna go pretty crazy here. With critical, it's gonna ignore armor. It's gonna deal 7 damage here at speed 7. And that after effect is gonna ensure he can't be hit back. Not that it matters, since without the armor, permutation is gonna get stunned here. Super huge play. Now, luckily, that does mean that both of our instant hell murders are now gone. So for Mecha, he's kind of in the clear. The main threat of exceeding here, it's still on the table. But the power that comes with it is kind of gone. But we do have a double grasp here. EX grasp is going to be the cross. That is an extra 7 power with the critical. DT, it seems like he'd just been saving those cards, taking the beginning of the game to kind of sculpt his hand, get the good cards in hand, wait out the exceed, and now that it's his time to shine, it's his time to shine. I think that sweep will not do it, though. We're going to push with Disjoint Union, which is going to let us get a hit. Doesn't stun. Let's see. Oop. But he does still get the UA, that's right. So he still has 1 card into overdrive. He's going to go for another strike here. He's got to get through 11 health. And without exceeding, it's going to be difficult for Arcune to get through that without taking a hit himself. But it is possible. DT is thinking about it. He knows he's got 1 card in deck. He can know what his options are here if he just takes the time to look through everything. I imagine he might even be asking Mecha here if he can take a look at this last card. Actually, Mecha's going to take back that strike, it looks like. He's going to go for EX instead here. EX means this can't be another Disjoint Union. So I don't know what we're looking at here from ooh, that's an unfortunate deal. That is an unfortunate deal. Were those dealt from sealed? I am not sure if those were dealt from sealed. We kind of got cards flying all over the place here. Looks like DT's gonna look at the bottom card of his deck. It's the only card here. A lot of times people will just gentlemen to say, "Can you see it?" Because once everything else in the game is open, that's kind of open knowledge. We're gonna see EXF of G here. A card I don't see a lot, but honestly reads really good to me. It's gonna power through here, still deal just a tiny bit of damage to the focus, but more importantly, it's gonna get its hit effect off. It's gonna be a huge overdrive boost for Arcune because that's 3 cards from this hit effect, 1 card from Arcune's own hit effect here. Let's see, he gets to choose them as well, so he's choosing these 3. Let's see. Gotta ask if he got one off of UA hit too. If he did, I didn't see it. Okay, so he did not. Glad I caught that there then. A little nervous about calling out some misplays after calling out a false misplay for a game earlier today, but glad I put that in there. I don't think that 5 in overdrive. Well, that 5 in overdrive might make a big difference because this is exceeding territory now. DT's just gonna move away here. I think again. I'm pretty sure this is deck out in 2. Pretty sure there's a deck out in 2 for Mecha here. Now, luckily, an exceed, you're not drawing at the beginning of your turn. you have some options when it comes to, are you going to deck out? Why did we draw 2? Oh, when you see draw 2 and then strike. He's got to draw them. He's diving to come forward. Now, again, one of the interesting parts about this game is here. Oh, wait! And then the Hyakishu is going to kill here. Oh, we're not going to see a deck out. That's game. Dang. That's a good call out from DT. I feel like he must have known something like that was coming. Personally, again, I kind of thought that was instilled over here, but it looks like that's not the case. DT's going to take game 1. Nice. I feel like this kind of goes to show that both Mecha and DT know their characters a lot better than I do. Beginning of the game looked kind of slow, looked a little stale, but we saw later on that both of them were really preparing for that mid game there. We saw life totals drop from, I think it was 21-25 all the way down to 9-3, and what seemed like the blink of an eye. Both these players really know how to put on pressure. We're going to see trading off from DT here. It looks like he's going to go for Rachel. I'm actually not sure who Mecha's going for. I can't remember if this is pick at same time or if this is ordering picked. Looks like Mecha's still thinking about it. Mecha does have the option to go Arcane again. Might not want to into this matchup. Not quite sure where Arcane excels and where they do not. Looks like it's going to go Ryu instead. Not sure about Arcane, but I must say I think Ryu is a good choice here. It's got great cards at every range, which is pretty important since Rachel's UA effectively lets her move without taking an action. One of the few non-strive characters that can move around pretty freely and still continue her turn. Maybe, I want to say one of the only ones, but that could be wrong. And we're going to see some mulligans. A lot of times, I see Ryu mulligan for something like Hadoken here. In this matchup, though, that might not be the play. At the very beginning, we've got Tiny Lobelia, we've got Flying Lobelia, and I suppose it's just those two until Supers are online for Rachel. But both of these cards, pretty strong, hit pretty fast. Before we see Gauge for the critical fireball, like both of those are pretty strong answers to a fireball shot at round 1. So I think Mecha's going to need to do something about that. Looks like their answer is just move in 1, flop all my numerous range 3 options and say I'm feeling pretty good about it. Here, DT is responding with a light, +2 speed. Going to make something like a spike really scary at range 3. But that's not to say that Ryu doesn't have options themselves. Mecha could try to call out that we're going to see something mid-speed and go for something like an assault. I would still lose to something like a dive, though. So it might not be the play. Instead, we're just going to tech the light. I think pretty respectable. We're going to see instead initiative from DT. Not quite as strong as light. Does get a hit effect. But that +1 speed is basically what you have from initiating a strike in the first place. So he gets a little bit of a bonus now. He's got an extra draw on his attack, but that boost doesn't do very much if you strike straight into it, just like Mecha did. We're going to see the EX Spike, which is definitely going to beat out the sweep here. Going to deal 6 damage right off the start. Now, one of the interesting things about EX Spike, though, especially this early in the game, is that now Spike is off the table. And we do still have dives. We do still have some mid-speed options in dive. But Spike is one of the stronger kind of mix-up tools. Hits at range 2 or 3, and is going to beat out anything slow no matter what. And it also beats out a block, which dive does not do. So we're going to see EX Assault. We're going to come in here from Mecha, taking an extra turn after the fact. It is blocked, but I feel like the momentum shift is still definitely worth it. EX, by the way, if you're curious at home, is probably to call out Whirlwind specifically. It's a really strong option from Rachel. 6 speed, only 3 power. Does get to sustain a boost, and that above option attack is just, or above curve attack is just quite strong. We're seeing another attack here from Mecha. I really feel like this could be a donkey kick. Could also be something like a 1-inch punch or even just a grasp. We see the grasp from DT, I think also calling out the donkey kick, but it is a grasp from Mecha. It's going to deal some damage, and more importantly for Ryu, really just lets him put DT wherever Mecha wants him. And right now he wants him at range 3. Not what I would have expected, but it clearly must be formidable if that's where Mecha wants to put him. He's got 2 cards in hand. I really feel like these could be, with putting him at range 3, I really feel like one of these could be Hadouken. I really feel like he might have a sweep, a second sweep here. We've already seen one. He's going to strike, so we'll see what one of these cards is in just a second. In fact, this isn't critical. I feel like this could just be a sweep here. He doesn't have to worry about spikes anymore. Doesn't have to worry about Whirlwind. But we're going to see Hadouken. Trying to critical it on reveal, it looks like. Not quite how that works. Actually, though, it's honestly kind of good for him. Let's see. Wait. Did we critical on reveal? Okay, he did critical on declare. So apologies about that. Didn't get critical marking on our note, but that's totally fine. We've got the lightning rod down right under Ryu. One of the tricky things about flying Lobelia, puts itself down as a lightning rod, so it doesn't give any gauge. Actually, I think it does on one of its hit effects. Yeah, on its hit effect, it does give itself this gauge. And it, just like Hadouken, it's repeatable. Ooh, we're going to see the Tempest Dahlia here. It's going to be pretty strong. It's going to stun out the cross, which is also going to hit the lightning rod, which is also going to give DT the flying Lobelia right back. You know, a lot of people don't think of flying Lobelia as one of those attacks like Hadouken that you can just kind of hit over and over and over again. But sure enough, it is. As long as he can keep triggering that lightning rod, he can get some extra damage, and he can get that card back every single round. And right now, with Mecha having no cards in hand, like it's gonna be tough to get around that. Luckily, Ryu's UA is quite helpful in that regard. He feels pretty good going out of range now. Interesting to move out knowing DT has the Flying Lobelia in hand. But at the same time, DT's got 7 cards in hand. Not wanting to be at range 2 is pretty respectable. Especially because we know, actually, that Mecha does have Hadouken in hand. Which doesn't beat the Flying Lobelia, but will at least trade with it. Sorry, the Tiny Lobelia. Flying Lobelia is a different card from Rachel. Not quite as good in my opinion, but does have another speed, which kind of kicks it up a notch. Can beat out a non-critical fireball here from Ryu, but I don't think we'll see one of those. We've got Spike Drop here. Spike Drop's going to place any card down as a lightning marker, which means that not only do we have another lightning marker on the field, which deals extra damage during strikes, but it also means that DT can kind of attempt to recur a card. And it looks like he's going to attempt to recur this other Tiny Lobelia here. Notably, he's not going to get that back in hand until it triggers. And it triggers if Ryu is on top of it during the after phase of a strike. So we'll see if he can get Ryu into that position. We're gonna see a really strong boost here in Way of the Warrior from Mecha's side. I feel like if anything's gonna turn this game around, a boost like that's gonna be it. Will we see the tech from DT? Because I feel like this is kind of prime teching scenario. Also, hello. Let's see. You're currently muted right now. Um, I've got a VGMA2 possibly joining me here in the mic, possibly just spectating. Um, Either way, I am going to keep commentating until something changes. Right now, we've got a tiny Lobelia down as a lightning rod. Now we've got George III as well. I don't think George III comes back to hand, but it does do a lot of damage. And with the current life lead that Rachel has, I feel like that chip damage adds up. Got way in the.
Hello.
Oh,
Sorry for the intrusion. Don't mind if I pop in.
yeah, no, go for it. Glad to have you here. We're currently looking at game two here. DT took game one, playing. Oh, why am I blanking? Playing Akuma into Mecha's Arcune. So we're here in game two.
Snap. Looks like Rachel has control of the board here in
Mm,
this current part of the game.
yeah, and we know that they have a tiny Lobelia in hand, and we also know that Mecha has a Hadoken in hand.
I see.
Yeah. Way the Warriors on the field, but DT's got to fierce himself, so they've got some extra power. But I think with the speed boost that Mecha has, I think something like Crit Hadokens is a pretty big threat here.
Definitely.
Yeah, fair enough. Get rid of all the boosts in play and just set that tiny Lobelia face down. It's not a bad way to get rid of Way of the Warrior. Interestingly enough, just in case anyone watching the VOD doesn't know, theoretically, Rachel can threaten something like a Grasp here. Obviously doesn't hit, but that 2 after damage can stun, even though it's non-lethal. So even something like a Grasp would technically beat out like a Crit Hadoken. I don't know if we have. I think one Grasp is down. I think we still have another available. But you could do the same with like Whirlwind. In fact, seeing as DT moved up, I expect this to be Whirlwind, but we'll see. Notably, I don't think we've reshuffled since. I think both of our spikes are down, so I don't think this could possibly be a spike here, if I recall. Unless I'm mixing this up from a previous deck cycle. Sure enough, it's the whirlwind. To block's a pretty good way to just get rid of, both the attack but also the lightning rod. But that does also mean Tiny Lobelli is going back to hand, so we'll still have to deal with it. But we'll have to deal with it another day. No worries. I'm mostly doing commentating for VOD stuff too. Feel free to jump in as much or as little as you want. But most importantly, if I'm just being annoying, please tell me.
No worries, no worries. You can talk as much as you need be. In fact, I honestly want to talk a bit more myself, but I'm not sure how to go about.
No
Mhm.
worries. Just jump in whenever you like and whenever you don't. Interestingly, it looks like the lightning rods are optional, if I recall. So it
Yes.
looks like he chose not to remove Tiny Lobelia, which is interesting. Not that it would have done any damage, but prefers, I suppose, to have the stage control rather than the card back in hand.
Definitely. I think with Rachel's. Oh, there's another way. Oh, and it's gone.
Oof, that's the fastest tech I've ever seen.
Anytime, anytime I've seen a match against Ken or Ryu, if wherever the warrior or true master pops up, and if the other player has tech, it's like gone immediately.
I mean, that's fair. I feel like this is like number one most techable boost.
Mhm.
It's just too good, too high investment, and doesn't do anything on initial play.
Right.
I think striking while we're at range 2, probably good choice from Ryu. Haven't seen any donkey kicks yet. Um, Other range 2 options. This could be something like a Tatsu, but I feel like that's less likely. But we've got Flying Lobelia here. EX, 4 damage. Still, it is going to push. Oh, and the Lightning Rod is gonna take it, I think, here.
Yep, the lightning rod will pop, and that will cause a stun.
Yeah. It's pretty suave from DT here. I don't think we have anything else that's just going to push 1 at range 3, but like, so I don't know if we have to worry about that other lightning rod for now. But it's a pretty brutal hit there, honestly, at these life totals.
Mhm. Boost going down, initiated for +1 speed, and hit for draw and advantage. Or advantage, actually. Not
Mm-hmm.
both.
Kind of just cycles itself if Mecha strikes here, but I kind of have a feeling that, if anything, I wonder if DT is kind of worried about this being like read by. Or I guess it can't even be read by Focus's reading. So I guess maybe he just wants to cycle it out for a new card.
Mhm. That's fair. Like coming down with an initiating a strike. It seems like he's double checking something. Is that Tatsu?
That is
Yes, Tatsu.
Tatsu. Yeah, we've got the dive does beat it out.
Things are looking pretty tight for Mecha here.
Yeah, I think too with Rachel's UA just being able to jump into any range that she's got on curve. I feel like we're gonna need a miracle from Mecha side to get through this. I think.
And Rachel has like no shortage of force to spend right now, so she's got plenty of resources that she wants.
Absolutely.
Rachel's coming in with a strike. Mecha responds from hand directly. It's focus into block.
Staying alive for now. Honestly, here, I don't even know if I would pay the force. I don't know if being at 1 life versus 3 makes that much of a difference here.
Does he have another focus? It might just like save him from any additional light taps.
That's true. I do think there's one focus left.
I see.
In fact,
Here
I'm
he's
not
changing.
I'm not actually even sure if we've seen one yet. There might be two. In which case, that's pretty fair.
Mecha CC's to his gauge to draw back his hand. He's been living on like a low hand size for a while now, hasn't he?
Yeah, maybe
Rachel
living on low
boosts.
hand size again. I'm gonna
He
guess
does it.
that's a focus call out there. I think we might be seeing the grasp in about 3 seconds.
Gosh.
Uh,
Mecha
stuff like sweep's effectively useless right now, and even Tatsu's kind of in the same boat.
a lot of his moves right now are either like mid speeds or slows, which will not be very helpful in his close range and low HP situation. He needs something fast or evasive.
Only 8 cards left, but we haven't seen the reshuffle. I wouldn't be shocked to see just a big change cards here. Wait, did DT show his hand too?
Yeah, he showed his hand. I'm not sure why.
I know some of those are known. Ah, actually, I don't know.
Oh, it's because his deck is empty. He doesn't have any cards left.
Oh, I see. Nice. Yeah, they've been they were doing something similar in the last game where they were letting people check last card in deck and stuff. So
I see.
yeah.
Okay.
With those cards though, I mean Whirlwind, Cross. I mean those are the two big ones. But Spike Trap does have Ignore Armor. I feel like with Spike coming down, it might not be as true because we have to worry about or no, we don't. We don't really have to worry about Donkey Kick. I feel
They're
like it.
both boosting with speed, neutralizing the speed boost. Was that a?
Unless, oh, that's attack there.
Okay. Turns back to Mecha. He's contemplating what to do. Actually, no. Oh, it's Rachel's turn. Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's MechaKT. MechaKT.
I kind of feel like DT here can just. I don't know how I feel about it on offense, but I feel like you can just throw down a focus, agree to lose a strike, and then next turn UA hit on curve or threaten spike drop.
It's critting.
Ooh, okay. I don't think that's enough though. Yeah, just 5 damage here. Does ignore the armor, but doesn't ignore the guard. Oh, but the two armor actually does save him. Never mind.
The crit keeps him alive long enough to live another day. But will it be enough to turn things around? He's living right at 1 HP right now.
Right on the edge. I do. I kind of want to say I do think we've seen both blocks. In which case, just moving to range 2, hitting Whirlwind wins the game. I think,
Hmm.
unless I miscounted, which is totally possible.
Mecha has definitely used his 2 blocks. The first he paid his second block for his second block using the first block. Oh,
Oh, gotcha.
he is changing cards, everything to draw a new hand. None of those cards right now are helping him out in this situation, so he needs something new fast.
I mean, this might be the time though. All those cards are known.
Yep.
We know we can't be red, so it's fine that we have all those normals. But it does mean we might have to rely on Wild Swing block here, because I feel like DT moves range 3, clicks Whirlwind. That
Hmm.
beats everything but block.
Oh, there's his double focus, and he also has his double short you in hand there.
Oh, I suppose double focus actually could uh, just chunk out an entire Whirlwind theoretically.
Right. But at the same time, I think Rachel had spike drop, right? Oh, there she
Right.
is.
But if we do fight at range 2, we are under threat of a Shoryuken, I suppose. Uh, if this is EX Whirlwind, actually, that is just game. We'll see. I don't know if Mecha can. Clearly, this is built to beat EX Focus, so I kind of feel like all you can do is Wild Swing and then pray you top deck block.
Oh, it looks like he might be going for it.
All right. Good luck. This will be legendary if he hits it. He's still
Oh,
coming.
he
He's still
has another
coming.
chance.
Does Mecha have the heart of the cards? Sadly not
Oh,
today. So much respect for going for it though.
and that is game.
And I think that's the set along with it. Theoretically, they could play out a third if they wanted, but I think that's a 2-0 for DT here.
Yep.
Yeah, at some point I think Rachel's just sadly one of those characters where once you are kind of losing and low on life, I feel like a lot of characters you can kind of manipulate your way around, dodge strikes and stuff, but with Rachel's UA, that's kind of impossible. So at some point, I feel like the game was too far gone to come back, sadly.
I feel with a lot of long range characters, it's a bit of a struggle to climb back up once you're pretty down low on the health lead.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, it looks like they're gonna abstain on the game 3. Fair enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this recording in. But thanks for jumping in on the last part of this with me.
No problem. It was great. It was great having. Was great. Was well. Sorry. Thanks for having me.
Hey, anytime.